Solidarity, comrades. Today I'm here to talk about the Sino-Soviet split. I am by no means an expert on the Sino-Soviet split, but I want to give a basic rundown of what it means, the reasons for it, the reasons that it occurred, and the socialist states that took sides during the Sino-Soviet split. Sorry for the noise. So the Sino-Soviet split came after the tragic death of Joseph Stalin, Joey Stale, and the rise of Khrushchev's revisionism within the Soviet Union. And Khrushchev's main issue with China during the 1950s was the Great Leap Forward, because it followed the model of the 5-year plan of Stalin. And during the de-Stalinization of the Soviet Union under Khrushchev, there was a great ideological clash between the two major communist states at the time. And the few states that still allied with the Chinese, the People's Republic of China, were states like Albania under Enver Hoxha and Somalia. I may be missing a few, correct me if I'm wrong, but the main ideological split came because of Khrushchevian revisionism. And as we know, comrades like Enver Hoxha were adamantly anti-revisionist Marxist-Leninists. And early on in Hoxha's Albanian socialist state, they allied themselves with the Chinese model of achieving socialism. That did change later, but while I don't agree with some aspects of Enver Hoxha's thoughts on China later in his life, I agree post-Mao. It was definitely justified, but during the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution, I 100% disagree with Enver Hoxha's criticism of the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution. But that's beside the point. The Sino-Soviet split happened because Khrushchevite revisionism, and Mao Zedong was not a revisionist. Even some people argue later in his life that he may have been a revisionist, but I believe, I could be wrong, but people around him like Zhou Enlai and Qin Xiaoping pressured him in his later years. He was very old. He was coming towards the end of his life, and he was losing power within the party. And losing power within the party is key, because sailing the seas depends on the helmsman. And Mao Zedong was a great comrade, and he was the helmsman towards Chinese socialism. And during the Great Leap Forward in the 1950s and the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution of the 1960s was a great achievement of socialist progress. And I do believe, along with comrades like the Midwest is Red, believe that the Cultural Revolution was one of the most advanced achievements of socialism to this very day. And if it were not for the pressures of capitalist roadists and revisionists within the Chinese Communist Party, there could have been greatness achieved. When it comes to the Sino-Soviet split, it was purely ideological. It was revisionism versus anti-revisionism. And states like Albania during the 1950s joined that anti-revisionist stance. Enver Hoxha, before the 1960s, even considered Mao Zedong as a great comrade. And I think that if there was a little bit less racism from Enver Hoxha towards the Asians, that there would have been less animosity between them during the 1960s and the great proletarian sorry for the noise during the great proletarian cultural revolution. But the Sino-Soviet split changed global geopolitics at that time. The Western imperialist powers saw it as a weakness. They used the revisionism of Khrushchev, Brezhnev, and later on Gorbachev to help dismantle the Soviet Union. And while there is revisionism within China today, they still persist as a major challenge to the global Western hegemony. Whether you think that China is imperialist or not, I don't believe that they are. I think that surviving as a socialist state, socialism with Chinese characteristics, the socialist aspects to China, but by no means do I have some sort of idea that they are some sort of, socialist beacon, by no means. And because of Khrushchev revisionism and the Soviet leaders that followed him, there was an absolute failure to build socialism internationally. Socialism within one state failed within the Soviet Union, and it failed within China. Socialism in one state, building socialism in one state, and then using that state to build international socialism across the world, it failed due to revisionism. I am by no means an expert on the Sino-Soviet split, but what I do know is that there's a right side and there's a wrong side. If you are a scientific socialist, and capitalist roadsters like Khrushchev and the de-Stalinization that came with it destroyed the progress made by Stalin and Lenin. And I think that us as anti-revisionist communists, Marxist-Leninists, Marxist-Leninist Maoists, we need to understand that the Sino-Soviet split signifies a split between revisionism and anti-revisionism. The anti-revisionism coming from the Chinese side. Regardless of what you think of Enver Hoxha's later criticisms of the great proletarian cultural revolution, he still was a great anti-revisionist. And he fought for socialism and Marxist-Leninism to the day that he died, till the day that he died. And I truly and honestly believe that without the pressures of imperialist powers, without the pressures of revisionist states like Yugoslavia and the post-Stalin Soviet Union, I really think that much could have changed. When it comes down to it, the Sino-Soviet split was an unfortunate necessity. Because if the Chinese communists would have continued to ally themselves with the revisionism brought on by Khrushchev, the revisionism within China would have happened a lot sooner. There would have been no great proletarian cultural revolution. And unfortunately, due to the internal party leadership outside of Mao Zedong later in his life within the Chinese Communist Party, whether it be Zhou Enlai, Xi Jinping, and others, there would have been socialism achieved within one state. In my opinion, the great cultural revolution was the closest that any socialist state got towards building a true socialism in one country state. Stalin came close. But when it comes down to it, the Sino-Soviet split was a necessity. China had to split themselves from the Khrushchevite revisionist. And I truly believe that it was a necessity. I know I'm repeating myself. And that there would have been a lot less progress made within the Chinese socialist model pre-revisionist China. Albania was a great ally to China for a decade or so. Somalia, I'm not so well versed in that. This was a quick video. I'm not an expert on it, but I want to know what you comrades think about the whole situation. I want you to critique what I said. I want you to add to the conversation, and maybe we can make a follow-up video, and maybe we can discuss this further. And I want everyone to realize that the Sino-Soviet split was purely because of revisionism in the USSR under the Khrushchevites. And, well, we can see where the Khrushchevite de-Stalinization led to. It led to Brezhnev, other Soviet leaders, and in the end, Gorbachev. And we can see now that led to not the collapse of the Soviet Union, but the breakup of the Soviet Union, pressured by Western powers. So, that's the end of this video, and I know it wasn't very good. I can tell myself that it wasn't very good. But I still want to hear what you have to say about it. And I want you all to let me know what you think. Solidarity, comrades, and have a wonderful day, have a wonderful life.